Now, evil exists in the world, must exist in the world. And if Hashem created worlds and destroyed them, it's not because he was a bad architect. He's a very good architect. He created the whole world. So what did he need to create worlds for and then destroy them? He's coming to teach us something. I destroyed the world, and you also can destroy the world, and this is the power of tshuva. That you can change the way. And you can see the way the Baal Tshuvas are. The greater they are as Baal Tshuvas, they are also in the evil side, they're also very strong. If a person's weak as a non-religious person, when he becomes religious, also be weak. If a person's very powerful, very, very special as a non-religious person, when he becomes religious, he'll be also very special and do very special things into Kedusha, bring the power into Kedusha. So the way it must be is that a person takes the powers that you have and you change them and move them into Kedusha. That's the greatest tshuva. This is the most important tshuva, where a person takes the sin and turns the sin into an engine that moves you in Avodas Hashem. This is the great secret of tshuva. Now, today we're going to try touching upon these things and to see how a person takes these things and turns them into Kedusha. These are these days, specifically days of Yom Kippur, that they request from us that we should switch ourselves around. There are two major levels of tshuva. The first level is iskafia. What's iskafia? Where you subjugate the evil, where you run away from the evil. But it's not enough. As long as you're in iskafia, when you're just running away from evil, it's all called the lower tshuva. And the tshuva does not have the power to purify himself from the more intense, bigger averos. The main avoda is to turn yourself from iskafia to isapcha. What is isapcha? Where a person takes the power of the evil and to force him to be like a horse that rides a kedusha, where kedusha rides on the horse, where the kedusha will use the horse. This horse that is this bad midas. Paro, when he chased Jews, he took two strong horses and attached the horses to his carriage and put a female horse in front of them, and it gives them power to run. So they were able to run, pulling the carriage very quickly. He takes the Yetzer Hara of the sus, he took it, and he made his carriages run very quickly. So too a person must take his Yetzer Hara and turn it into something good. Where a person takes the metzius of the sin that a person was in and turns it into Avodas Hashem, into something good. We're going to continue in the thing that we spoke about before. It's a mahalach of Adam Rishon. Why was he interested in Chava? The first Chava, when this Chava was behind him. This metzius is a metzius in the soul of a person that exists still today. A number of years ago I was in America, in a certain shir in Los Angeles, and there was a certain Jewish doctor. And he said, I had a certain problem, and I went to him. A type of problem that regular conventional doctors don't know about these problems. So he checked me, and they asked me a lot of questions, homeopathic questions, and he gave me a little pill, and I said, what is it? And he said, it's snake venom. There's no actual venom inside of it, and homeopathic medicine is the more watered down it is, the stronger it is. If you take poison from rats and you put it in a bag, and you put it inside water. And you take out the rat poison from the water, and the bag with rat poison. Now in the water, chemically, you could check it, and there's only water. If a rat drinks it, he'll die. Because the water draws the energy of the poison, and the water could be poisonous for rats. Even though there's chemically no molecules of the rat poison. So I said, why do you give me this medicine? He said, listen, many rabbis have the same problem. You talk about a certain thing, about some idealistic thing, and you're not always able to stand in the ideals that you're presenting. And Jewish people say to the rabbi, you spoke very nicely, but you also have to fulfill it nicely. You have to do what you say. You're telling everyone what to do, and you yourself are not doing it. When you come and you have to be holding at least on the level that you're standing on, that you're speaking about, and it's very difficult. It could bring a person all sorts of spiritual damages. So I said, why a snake? And he said, the snake started all the problems. He started the two. You're not only listening to Kodesh Baruch Hu, you're also listening to something else, which is the snake. And to each person, he has his own personal snake, where the snake tells him what to do. I don't want to listen to what Hashem says, that's what the snake in a person says. In any case, we see that this Metzius is found inside of a person, to tell everyone what to do. But he himself, to do these things, is very, very hard. Where did this nature come from? There are a lot of people, it says, you are like this and you're like that. For the most part, where does it come from? A person can't see a fault in his friend unless that fault is also inside of him. Everyone who makes someone else puzzle is because he himself is puzzle. A camel sees his friend's camel and he says, come. And he says, what is it? And he says, why are you going with a bump on your back? He says, you also have a bump. He says, yeah, mine's a stylish one. Look, yours is disgusting. Mine's really pretty. I worked on it. I built it up. This is how we are. A person is always comes and he says to his friends, don't be like this, don't do this. But he himself is difficult. He has difficulty with that thing. Where do we see this most? The mitzvah approval. The person's wife and the children. First of all, his wife. Now, somebody once told me, a person put out a sefer, and his wife said, why don't you do what you wrote in the sefer? She sees. She lives with him. She knows exactly who he is. By the way, if a person's wife says that he's a tzaddik, in general. Because she knows from inside. Everyone thinks, usually it's opposite. Everyone thinks that he's a tzaddik, and she knows exactly who he is. And outside, it's very easy to be a tzaddik, but inside, it's very hard. People come to me with problems with shalom bayis. I hear the stories all the time. And the woman says, my husband's a tzaddik. Someone at 3 in calls. He takes off his pajamas and he goes running to help. I ask for a little bit of for a light to be changed, and it's very hard to do it. Take out the garbage, very hard. He wants to do everything for good for everyone, but for me, he doesn't want to do anything good. This is a problem from Adam Rishon. It goes from generation to generation. When a person feels that the thing is attached to him, is connected to him, so it becomes automatically understandable. Once the thing starts screaming, but until it starts screaming, it's understood. It's not just with his wife and with his children. Many times you could see it's very easy to take food from his wife and his children's mouth and to give it to a guest. What a guest, it's not nice, but a wife, you could make her feel better afterwards. Also with a person's body. How does a person know that he has diabetes? He feels dry in his mouth. All sorts of strange things happen to him. He goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, listen, you have diabetes. Your body isn't creating insulin. Love. What is love? What is a pancreas? I don't know. It creates insulin. Listen, there's something they call it a pancreas. It makes insulin. If you don't take care of it, you're gonna be hurt. The person doesn't know. He eats, and when he gets a certain age, things start happening. He starts getting fat, starts getting cholesterol, all sorts of things. A person doesn't pay much attention until there's a difficulty. When something is next to him is not screaming, he doesn't pay any attention to it. This is the nature of humans, of people. Therefore, it's very easy for a person to tell everyone else how to change, but he himself, to change himself, it's very hard for him to change. Why? Because a person does not think. It's very hard to think about himself. And this is a very important point. It's called Mare de Chushpana. What's called Mare de Chushpana? The Zohar Kadosh praises this level of Mare de Chushpana. Before a person goes to sleep or sometime during the day, he makes a cheshbon nefesh to see what happens to him, what he's doing. Why is this so great? There's a story in the Zohar. It says two people sat at the entrance to a certain city and they saw a certain Jew coming close. And they saw he was tired. So he stopped and he saw a big thing, that he made a hammock and he lied down to rest. And they were looking at him. And all of a sudden they see a big snake going towards him while he was sleeping. And they say, see this snake? And they say on the other side, I don't exactly know what type of animal this is, from the other side. Now the animal and the snake, they both want to eat the person. They said, let's go scream to him. And they said, no, let's Hashem wants to do a nace. Let's see what happens. Now the snake comes to eat, the animal comes to eat him also, and they start fighting. The animal and the snake. The snake bit the animal bit the snake. And at the end of the day, they both fell dead at the man's feet. And when he woke up, the whole thing where his hammock was, everything fell. He fell, but he was saved. He cleaned himself off from the dust. And he put the hammock in his. He didn't know what was going on. He put his hammock away, and a person who a nace happens to doesn't recognize the nace, and they run to him and they say, "What happened to you? What did you do that such a nace happened to you?" He said, "What nace? What are you talking about?" I said, "I'll tell you what happened here. Here, a snake came from here, an animal from here. There's nothing like that, and this whole mountain fell, and you escaped with the hammock. Three nisim don't happen like this by accident." And he said, "Listen, I have a nature like this. If I injured somebody, I don't go to sleep until I make him feel better. And aside from that, if before I go to sleep, I do cheshbon nefesh, that everything that happened to me throughout the day, and I decide all sorts of decisions what to do with myself, to change this and to ask for forgiveness. Before I do this, I don't go to sleep." And then the Zohar speaks about the concept of Ma'ad Chushpana, people that do this cheshbon nefesh. And for these people, there's one heichal, a special heichal in Shamayim, that people are found, only these people are found there, in that heichal. Why does the Zohar give such promises to these people? For one or two reasons. If a person does cheshbon nefesh, he has to change his ways. Because he can do cheshbon nefesh 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and every day he's going to say, "Listen, Hashem, I made a mistake. After some time, it's going to seem silly if he doesn't change. So for one of two reasons, either he's going to stop doing it, or he's going to change. Now if a person's a Ma'ad Chushpana for a long period of time, for sure he's a person that changes. What's so difficult about this? It's very difficult. People don't like to be with themselves. People don't like to think. Look at what life we live in nowadays. The intensiveness of our life is very intense. Each one of us is a walking office with a telephone, computers. Somebody tries to find me, 15 minutes I've been trying to look for you, and so 15 minutes is such a big deal. Sometimes people would wait seven years for a telephone before when the telephone came out. Now people want you to be available all the time, because people pay out for that very much, because the mind is never free. For many years I used to go with the telephone. And now again I broke and I started walking with the telephone again. And some people call me and they say, "I just sneezed 3 times. Does it mean something?" And it's for sure that you could wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning for this. And all sorts of funny questions. A person has to know, in our life we're in all sorts of pressure. We don't tranquil we're not to think about our lives, to see what needs to be changed, what doesn't need to be changed. Or bosai. Somebody wants to go forward in this world, somebody wants to come to Yom Kippur ready, who doesn't do these things in Chodesh Elul, is going to be left from the 10 days of tshuva, where a person has to do cheshbon nefesh quietly, where a person should go to a place where no one could bother him, and to start thinking about his life, to see what needs to be fixed, what needs to be changed. Because if you come, now we're not talking about Rosh Hashanah, but now at least for Yom Kippur, if a person comes for a decision, practical changes, and you didn't do anything. Be honest with yourself. How many people did you ask forgiveness from? This, you're going to say, listen, I don't remember anything that I hurt anyone. For sure people hurt me a lot, but I never hurt anybody. Why? Because it's hard to ask for forgiveness. I'm a Scorpion. It's very hard for me to ask forgiveness.